to learn great kung fu. This foreigner put a live snake in his mouth, then gets naked and lies on the ice. He gets hit with fire by his master. This is his master's secret training technique. He even has a nature-defying move. Finger punching, he can beat a hole out of anyone. The pupil sees that, impatiently wants to try. He sticks out his middle finger, stabs the board. His finger is broken. His master doesn't falter one bit. He bends his finger back to normal. This martial art learning man is actually a real estate businessman. Why does a wealthy man want to suffer to learn martial arts? Turns out, Stan is a wicked businessman. He always sells old, damaged houses to old ladies who know nothing. Eventually he is caught for scamming. He is sentenced to 3 to 5 years in prison. The waiting time is 6 months. Stan panics, because a man who used to be in prison tells him the prison he's going to be in is the most notorious. The criminals there fight every day. If Stan goes in just like that, he can only wait to get killed. He definitely can't sit still and wait to die. Stan immediately registers for a taekwondo class, but the trainer lets him practice with the kids. Stan is irritated. What he needs is quickly becoming great at martial arts. Right then, a mysterious man appears. He gently throws a punch and easily breaks the wall. He leaves his hand on top of the fire. It doesn't even change color after half an hour. Stan decides right away. He is the legendary master he needs. He immediately claims him as his master and starts practicing. His daily meals are raw scorpions, raw pork livers. He either lies on top of sharp bamboo sticks or stands in straddling position with a pointed knife under the pants. Practicing agility. Practicing strength. Every day, he has to fight mannequins. He practices every day. The 6th month comes, his practice finally shows results. Stan also learns the last legendary move, finger punch. He intentionally comes to the trainer who bullied him. Fights him one-on-one. The result is that, he easily knocks him down. Stan this time has twice the confidence. He can now calmly go into the prison. On the bus to the prison, the first danger appears. Next to him is a beefy guy. He picks a fight with Stan. Stan directly fights back, squeezes so hard that he can't utter a word. In prison, it's either you bully people or people bully you. At the prison, his kind inmate reminds him who he can't provoke. For example, the leader of this gang. He can kill with just 2 punches. And this group of people, though they might not look that well built, but they are the best at fighting 10 to 1. And the one he must not provoke is this super beefy guy, even though he isn't in any gang. But he fights extremely well. Everyone in the prison has to give way for him. Stan, upon hearing that, he comes over to provoke the big guy. He even calls everyone to gather around to see Stan fight him one-on-one. The guy shows off his burly muscles. Aggressively comes to Stan, but just as he wants to start, Stan slaps him first. Stan catches his arm and twists it like dough. Then he grabs his hand. Starting from the ring finger, he bends each fingers to a 90 degree. The beefy guy screams loudly. Finally he is knocked down by a kick. It is Stan's first day in prison. He wants to let the prisoners know who is the real tough guy around here. His second opponent is the leader of the POC gang. He commands his people and they surround Stan, but they fail to hold him down. They can't even touch him. Stan quickly takes a mop to be his fighting staff. His attacks are swift and clean. In a flash, he's knocked them all down. He catches one among them. He puts the staff behind his nape to hold him down. His staff then becomes 2 sticks. He hits them hard. Only the leader remains. He immediately panics. It's shameful to run away, but he can't fight back. What to do? Stan doesn't even give him a chance. He punches him hard and his gold teeth fall out. His first battle, and he already makes a name for himself. Since then, Stan becomes the king of this prison. Everyone tries to avoid him. 3 young men even come to him. They ask Stan to be their leader. Even the arrogant buff guy from before also decides to follow Stan's lead. The head warden watches Stan's every move. One day, Gask calls him to his office. He doesn't provoke him. On the contrary, he is very polite with him. He even pours him good wine. Turns out, he has a favor to ask Stan. He tells him this prison will soon be dismantled. He wants to develop this place into a tourism village. But he knows nothing about real estates. While Stan is a professional real estates businessman, he needs his help. In return, Gask will reduce Stan's sentence down to 1 year. Nobody can refuse the offer. Stan immediately agrees, gaining Gask's trust. Stan's life in prison also becomes more comfortable. He has his own office. He even has the privilege to meet his wife, who he hasn't seen for a while. Seeing the other prisoners, Stan gets tired of the violence. One day, he calls up all prisoners. He orders them, starting from tomorrow, this prison doesn't allow any violence act. You all must love one another. If anyone opposes this, you can fight me one-on-one. The prisoners can only accept his command. Of course, using power to force them. The prison can't achieve real peace. As a businessman, Stan understands this. So he calls up the leaders of 2 gangs and asks them to shake hands to call truce. He tells them to behave. He even gives them rewards. He sometimes calls them to his cell for parties in the prison. Eventually, the atmosphere in the prison gets better and better. In this American prison, 2 people accidentally collide. Typically, they would fight each other head-on. Unexpectedly.
Excuse me, man.
No, that's my bad.
Yeah, really, it was my fault.
You've never seen a scene like this, right? The prisoners are so friendly. Not because they really love one another. But it was Stan's order. No violence is allowed in this prison. Nobody dares to oppose him, as he fights too well. One his own, he knocked down the strong guys, one after another. Everyone bows before his power. But seeing the prisoners get increasingly friendlier, Gask can't stand still, as he has a plan. The next week there will an inspection from the council. If there's a riot among the prisoners, He will tell his subordinate to kill them. And because of this violence, the council will definitely close the prison down. Then, Gask can secretly invest in this land and turn it into a tourism village. But now, Stan has stopped the violence here, which harms Gask's secret plan. He tells Stan, "You must restore the violence among the prisoners, or your sentence will be 5 years once again." Standing between others' happiness and his future, Stan is not that benevolent. The next day, he comes to the prison yard. He tells all prisoners, he will not manage them anymore. They can all act however they like. As soon as he finishes, the prisoners become untamed wild horses. They fight savagely like before. The next week, Gask keeps his word. He nominates him to the management board to reduce his sentence. During the interview, Stan answers very well. But after a while, he suddenly remembers the day everyone celebrated his birthday. He recalls how they were such good friends. Stan suddenly decides to quit. He runs out to save the other prisoners. Meanwhile, just like Gask's calculation, the prisoners all hold knives, bats. The two big groups walk towards one another. Gask is on the rooftop, waiting for the right moment. He orders the sniper to shoot. But as he's about to shoot, one prisoner suddenly turns on the music. Everyone starts dancing. Gask gets angry. He knows he can't let his perfect plan goes to ruins like that. He takes the gun and madly shoots towards the prisoners. Finally, Stan arrives just in time. He stops Gask. The prisoners escape the danger. Afterwards, Stan is released at the end of his sentence. He says goodbye to the other prisoners. Everyone takes turns hugging him. This prisoner even has Stan's portrait tattooed on his stomach to show his appreciation. Stan is also very thankful. Those prisoners actually also saved him. I believe after being released, he will become a good man. He won't be a wicked businessman anymore. A good man must gain wealth the right way. He must not lose his conscience over wealth.